Joining us on the line to discuss the implication of the Abuja bombing is Murtala Touray. He's Senior Analyst at Africa Country Risk. Murtala, we've had a conversation a moment ago, which unfortunately you were not able to pick up, with the Chief Executive of Goldman Sachs here in South Africa, Colin Coleman. And his view was that investors will look through this. They will look past today's bombing, tragic as it is. From your perspective, do you think that he's maybe underrating it, or has he got it on the money?
I think the Boko Haram attack in Nigeria, it indicates, firstly, that the group is very determined to attack the federal capital, but also it shows the group's inability to contravene security, breach security, and attack high-profile target, like we saw in 2011 when they attacked the UN building. And the last attack we saw of significance in Abuja was in June and July, and it's a kind of it's an ID attack, improvised explosive device, at a nightclub in Wuse. It's also in the central district area of Abuja. And then there was another attack, but at a shopping mall. It hit, just caused, not high casualty. So we've seen that Boko Haram is targeting a kind of soft targets, crowded area like a market, a bus station. But so far, the group has not been able, like I say, given the increase, in security. And we can interpret this attack, in several ways. One, we know that the World Economic Forum is coming up in Abuja next month. This is likely to scare away, delegates. And secondly, it's also to embarrass the Nigerian government, ahead of this kind of global event. But it shows if the Boko Haram actually had that capability to breach the security currently in Abuja, they would have waited for when this event is going on, and then they can carry out this kind of attack that would have, received larger attention than it is now.
Murtala, what are you expecting, or how are you hoping the government will react to the situation, especially after the economy being rebased, the GDP numbers being rebased, and ahead of the World Economic Forum in Africa?
I think, first of all, it shows how difficult it is for the Nigerian government to really tackle the Boko Haram insurgents, given that this group can attack soft targets, and the Nigerian government does not have in place the resource to protect all these soft targets. And then also it will bring the government under tremendous pressure that it's unable to to really put an end to the Boko Haram insurgency, and it will raise a concern because currently Nigeria is in an election period. It's just 10 months away for the presidential election. Already Jonathan is under tremendous pressure. So this will add more pressure on the government to really address this Boko Haram issue.
Murtala, as you've said, the Boko Haram are wanting to embarrass the Nigerian government. They're wanting to keep people away from the World Economic Forum, and there's no doubt many of the Europeans will take up on that. But what are they trying to achieve? What is, apart from embarrassing the government, what is their end game?
The end game for Boko Haram, mind you, here we're talking about Boko Haram, and then you have a splinter group from Boko Haram called Ansaru. Ansaru, they are more onto this kind of global jihadi ideology. They want to spread, Islamic Sharia across the globe. Whereas Boko Haram has been more for a kind of self-determination in northern Nigeria, to have their own kind of Islamic education in northern Nigeria, and but increasingly now they are calling for the whole of Nigeria, because one of their conditions they gave to Jonathan was to convert to a Muslim, so that they can stop the fighting. But now, given that they've been designated as a terrorist group by the U.S., and we're seeing increasing pressure by the Nigerian government, security forces, as well as the Cameroonian security forces. Quite recently, the Nigerian security forces claim that they've taken over the Sambisa forest, which is a key area for Boko Haram operation. So we think that this group is under tremendous pressure, and they are desperate at this moment. So, these kind of attacks, it's also an expression of desperation from this group. So the end game currently, it's very difficult. The Nigerian government has said that they're not going to negotiate with Boko Haram as a terrorist group, and the demands of Boko Haram at this point in time is very difficult to be met by the Nigerian government.